Welcome, age of vintage society. Beauty, love and emotion are all illusions, at least that is what it seems as one wonders why highly glamorous female personalities, with their drop-dead beauty, are often talked about as those who struggle to find love. I couldn't believe some of the striking revelations about Audrey Hepburn, a lady whose image represented class, brilliancy and feminine charm, even as millions of fans secretly wished they'd have a brief proximity feel about her prettiness, to no avail. How Audrey Hepburn betrayed herself. Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. Audrey Hepburn, Unfulfilled Love. I'm not here to talk about Audrey Hepburn and her good looks or that charming energy that characterised her way to stardom. I would never have the right word to represent this classy lady that appears to have been naturally created to showcase majesty. Coming from a classic upper-class background of British nobility, Hepburn no doubt enjoyed what many fantasised about all through their life. Yet she still feels inadequate about her romantic exploit regarding her dissatisfied love life, even as her persona was among the most publicly respected at the time. Her public desirability is not questionable. What is extremely shocking is an exposé that shows how sad and romantically disappointed Audrey Hepburn was amidst her glorious loveliness. She was said to have sincerely voiced her ordeals caused by her father, her stormy marriages, and the ill-fated miscarriages. Unfortunately, as you have already guessed, not everything that glitters about entertainment icons like Hepburn was gold, the only way I can describe this talented idol. I hear that, while she was getting ready to do her first Hollywood movie, she had vowed not to get mixed up with the typical co-star romances or allow herself to get infatuated with handsome male actors. I also hear that she did not just break the promise but got herself involved in one of the hottest but clandestine on-set romances of all time. Just before you ask, I was also wondering why it has to be secret. Then I remembered the media, a possible publicity scandal, and her Cinderella outlook. The ill-fated secret romance between Audrey Hepburn and William Holden is one too many, which got fans baffled when it was revealed. Someone once said Hepburn wasted her emotion on an affair that was not meant to be, as she was said to have described him as the most handsome man she had ever seen. But how the affairs escaped the gossip media is something unique on its own. The duo were said to have been having discreet meetings inside Holden's dressing chamber, private banquets and the like. She saw Holden as her Prince Charming, who gave her the love and warmth that can only be comparable to that of one's guardian angel. Holden himself did not mince words when he noted that she was his heart's desire. He was said to have acknowledged Audrey Hepburn as the love of his life. I fell in love with her, and she wanted to get married, he had said. Holden, a married father of 3 children, was 11 years older than Hepburn when they began their illicit desires, and was said to have perfectly hidden it from public eyes. Hepburn, who portrayed an ideal elegance and radiated royalty in her movies as seen in her role in Roman Holiday, is a force to be reckoned with in any beauty contest, while Holden remained the strong wonder boy of Hollywood with his remarkable movie outings that earned him much merited Oscar and Emmy awards. After meeting on set during the 1954 filming of Sabrina, the chemistry was overflowing that the two adults fought separately to put out the urge, but neither of them could, so they kept things low and surreptitious. Concealed recordings suggest Hepburn may have gone through secret romantic pains for some time, following the intensity of love, contrary to the grace and elegance she portrays. Hepburn formed an enduring fantasy of notable men, including celebrity photographer Milton H. Greene, who made a rattling confession to his son of how he once had a passing romance with Audrey Hepburn, who was at the time considered a living goddess of beauty. If what her granddaughter Mel Ferrer said is anything to go by, Hepburn's best-kept secret was that she was depressed, perhaps about her 2 problematic marriages, despite her famous status as among the finest British actresses and distinguished humanitarian. Her fame was prominent in movies and the fashion world, highly appreciated by the American Film Institute, which ranked her number 3 among the greatest female screen legends of classic Hollywood cinema. Hepburn's display of beauty and decency was quite phenomenal, that she earned so many accolades that caused her induction into the International Best Dressed List Hall of Fame. If you have ever met an attractive young lady identified as Audrey Kathleen Ruston or Hepburn Ruston, born in Brussels, Belgium on the 4th of May 1929, chances are that you have met Audrey Hepburn. She is from a British upper-class family with all the early childhood prestige that saw her living in Belgium, England and the Netherlands at different times due to the nature of her father, Joseph Ruston's job. Even though the supposed euphoria was thwarted when her parents separated following her father's monstrous behaviour, which she later blamed for its negative influence on her later life. Only God knows the demon that caused Joseph to abandon his family, including 6-year-old Hepburn, to fate in 1935 after a minor family incident in Brussels for London, where he majored in the fascist movement and never bothered about his young daughter. Hepburn had once described the action of her father as the most traumatic event of her life. Following the scenario, her mother relocated with her to a family home in Arnhem. Soon Hepburn found herself living in Kent, England, and grew up as Audrey Ruston, fondly referred to as Little Audrey. While she was still in her early education at a minor independent school in Elm, her parents were officially divorced. Although Hepburn was able to establish contact with her father years later with the help of the Red Cross and had assisted him financially before his death, the duo remained emotionally estranged. After acquiring knowledge in ballet from Amsterdam and in London, Hepburn started performing as a chorus girl with West End musical theatre creations, with minor presences in several films. She rose to public appeal when she starred in the 1953 romantic comedy Roman Holiday, a film that also had Gregory Peck. To say that the movie announced her fame would be fine, but it did more than that by giving her a record-breaking fit of being the first actress to win an Oscar, Golden Globe and BAFTA award for a single show. It was indeed a year of multiple shines, as she also got a Tony Award for Best Lead Actress in the play Ondine. Hepburn's love life was quite interesting from the beginning. Was she seeking perfection in her relationship, or just going into it with personal dreams and energy? We got an eye-opener about this when in 1952 she shocked a young man who was going about singing her praises, hoping he would experience her prestigious pleasure. An entrepreneurial-minded James Hansen will not forget in a hurry how he was greeted with the bad news that fateful day. After engaging Hepburn, whom he referred to as the love of his life, they were childhood crushes that endured since her early days in London. He was still putting 2 against 2 in readiness for the blissful marriage when he was ditched by Hepburn in what she later attributed to love at first sight. This comes after the wedding date was announced, with all her wedding apparel ready for the occasion. I'm not sure what it was like for young James when this nature-made charm told him that his dreams remain a fantasy because of work-related stress that she said would affect the marriage if it ever happened, though sources said the marriage ended because he told her that she would give up her career after the wedding and become a full-time housewife. To clear her name from public disrepute, Hepburn quickly organised a press statement where she was quoted to have said that her decision to halt the marriage was personal, saying, "I want to be married when I get married." Reports had gone around at the time that she was frolicking with future hair maker Michael Butler. Hepburn met her first husband, actor Mel Ferrer, in a cocktail event organised by her pal Gregory Peck. Soon they performed that Broadway creation of Ondine. Ferrer, an American actor and humble gentleman, may have been smitten by her illuminating charm when he suggested they co-star in that drama. Perhaps with mutual admiration, Hepburn and her admirer after that highly fruitful production continued their emotional eye contact off-screen, and soon their romance hit the front pages. 8 months after, the duo cemented their affair in matrimony, which took place in 1954 somewhere in Switzerland, and went ahead to appear together in the 1955 War and Peace movie. Hepburn was busy with studio hustles, but it did not stop her from conceiving and giving birth to a son for Ferrer, Sean Hepburn Ferrer. The union was quite a long one, lasting for about 14 years before the divorce in 1968, but before then a lot of things played out. First, there was viral gossip within the entertainment circle, and particularly a section of the gossip media, that the marriage was doomed to fail sooner because they don't believe that it would last, not with the sensation being generated by Hepburn's gorgeousness. They were wrong because Hepburn claimed that no one would separate her from her heartthrob, describing the marriage as inseparable. She had insisted that they were happy together, though agreed that he had an ill temper of some kind. The stories around were that Ferrer became highly possessive and much wanted to be in control of her affairs, a scenario that made the media dub him Hepburn Svengali. Hepburn, who knew her way around, dismissed as a joke that insinuation. Even William Holden was quoted to have said that Audrey Hepburn allowed Mel Ferrer, her husband, to think he influenced her. Their son Sean added his voice to the divorce years later when he was quoted to have said, "My father was difficult and challenging to her." Hepburn was said to have taken Ferrer as a father figure in her life and was happy with him until that separation, which was reported to have made him live the rest of his life regretting letting her go. In June 1968, aboard a Mediterranean voyage with friends, Hepburn met and fell for Italian psychiatrist Andrea Dottie, who later became her second husband. As one who cherished family life and the fun thereof, Hepburn was hoping to have more kids and perhaps plan her retirement. The two officially came together about a year later in a union that produced another boy, Luca Andrea Dottie, but her marriage with Dottie was infamously remarkable, with both husband and wife playing away game while still together, reflecting a morally bankrupt association. Before becoming pregnant, reports have it that their unfaithfulness to each other was troubling, with Hepburn hitting it off romantically with actor Ben Gazzara, whom she met while filming the 1979 Bloodline movie, while her husband was already meandering romantically with several younger women before then. Data available now revealed the strain Hepburn had to go through emotionally within this period trying to find love, while her husband was busy squashing with countless women. As one writer puts it, he was insanely adulterous, and Hepburn had to endure even the unbearable while living with him, even with her exquisite loveliness. When she took in her son after suffering several miscarriages, she relocated to Rome and under caesarean section had her baby. The union was heading south before what seemed like the climax in 1980, when Hepburn gave publicly the impression that all was not well with the marriage, while talking on a chat show. She was quoted to have said, "Doctors are great with patients, but they never want to take care of their families," referring to her physician husband. Regardless of all the intricacies, the marriage endured for about 13 years before the inevitable separation in 1982. Throughout her life, Audrey Hepburn, who understood the power of her personage, exploited the same in several fora, including her immense show in the vibrant fashion industry, where she was said to have influenced domineeringly with a lot of accolades. Some persons would agree that her later venture in humanitarian services was her candid way of giving back to society as a reprieve from the upset she had to live with for a time too long, the process of finding peace within herself. Recall that she became an active participant in UNICEF and took care of kids from war-torn countries, even though she may have experienced something similar as a child, but never had anyone to show her affection the way she was doing at the time. Was it youthful imagination or unrealistic expectations, or just inexperience, that made Hepburn break her oath on set when she met delightful Holden and began an exciting romance during Sabrina production? Funnily enough, before meeting William Holden, Hepburn already knows about him as a mighty philanderer, with disrepute for sleeping with several leading ladies before returning home to his severely heartbroken wife. At the time, Hepburn was described as one who was self-conscious about her lanky and flat-chested nature at a time that movie goddesses are seen as petite, curvaceous, and voluptuous. How she fell hook, line and sinker with Holden, who came from an opposite background from her emotionally traumatized upbringing, is among the wonders that Sabrina film director made happen. Audrey, raised in German territorial Netherlands, where she was said to have barely survived on bread produced from ground-up tulip bulbs, squared against Holden, a son of a wealthy industrial chemist. She was said to have eagerly awaited for the production to start, already nervous of Holden, a man who as a teenager was courageously racing his motorbike, hand-standing on bridges, and on a glance glowed with vitality. He is simply that man who just wants to do his stunts, and remarkably good-looking. Though their passionate love life was suppressed in public view, Hepburn honestly desired more than the relationship offered, but she had no choice. Holden felt the same way, but was probably hand-tied from doing otherwise, hence the two kept sealed lips. Whether he was the most handsome fellow she had ever seen, as she admitted, was not the issue. The concern is why this goddess of attraction got starved emotionally in such an unfulfilled romantic dream. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. Even though we are talking about Hollywood stars, they all had their own problems. Was George Peppard banned because of his drinking habit? Watch this video.